Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from NoobCoder.com, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about the else-if conditional statement. Now in the previous tutorial we talked about the basics of conditionals using if and else statements, and that's really only good if you're testing two conditions, whether or not something is true or false. But what happens when we have more than two conditions that need to be tested? We can use something called the else-if statement. So to start off, we're going to create a variable called user input, and we're going to test this variable within our conditional. So I'm going to assign it the value of 1, and I'm just going to say if user input is equal to 1, we're just going to output 1. Okay, keep it short and sweet. Now, what you usually would put is your else statement. If this fails, I want to execute whatever's in the else statement. What we could also do is use a else if statement. So I could say something like this. I could say else if, and now I just use this as if it was a regular if statement. So I can say user input is equal to 2. I want you to output 2 onto the console. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Now you can use as many else-if statements as you want. So you could go crazy with it. You could have like 10 of these if you want. And now your last statement could be else. And we can say everything above has failed. So your else basically is your backup plan. If all your tests up here fail, I want you to execute it. Okay, so if I hit Control B, right click, reveal in Explorer, execute this, F12, you can see that we get 1 because what the user inputted is equal to 1. And likewise, if I was to change this to 2, Control S to save, head over to my browser, hit refresh, you can see that our else if statement is executed. So pretty much whatever condition is true is going to get executed. So an else if statement is just like an if statement. So I'm just going to change this back to 1, and now I want to talk about fall through. Okay, so fall through is what happens if I have an example where this is true, but also this is true. Okay, so what would happen in that situation? So let's change this to user input is greater than 0. Control S. Now, obviously, user input is assigned 1. So user input is equal to 1, so that's true. And 1 is greater than 0 also. So what will happen? Let's find out. Let's head over back to my browser. Hit refresh. You can see that we get 1. But what happened here? So this is what I'm talking about with fall through. So if any of these conditions are true, the rest of these conditions won't execute. So if user input is equal to 1, which it is, this else if will not execute. And if I had 20 else ifs underneath it, it still would not execute. And even this else won't execute.